Hello, summer school students. This is our fourth lesson of week one. Again, my name is Miss Wasowski. Miss S is fine if you want to call me that. Let's get started. Just some important information about our summer school course because it is still our first week. You need to check in on Schoology conferences every day so I can mark you present. If for some reason you're having issues checking in on Schoology conference, I understand things happen. Please get a hold of me either through messaging or email so I can mark you present. Because you get 5 points for checking in with me on Schoology Conference. And if you don't check in with me, you get zilch, nothing, nada, zero. So please check in because that's what I like to call easy money. And that's a good way to get easy points. So every day there are 2 quizzes for you to take on Grad Point every single day. So far we've done 6 quizzes so far and we'll do 2 more today. There is a grade for every quiz. You get 5 points for above a 65 and 2 points for below a 65. So please, please, please take your time with the quizzes because I want you to get 5 points. I don't want you to get 2 points. And I definitely don't want you to get 0 points, which is what you would get if you didn't do the quiz at all. I really think that every single student should be taking notes on the YouTube summary. So when I get done with telling you what to do for the day. The second part of the video is the YouTube summary. And for the YouTube summary, everything in red is a vocabulary word, and everything that's underlined is the definition of the vocabulary word. So if you're watching YouTube summary and on a separate sheet of paper or notebook, you're writing down the red word and then writing down the underlined word next to it, that's really going to help you with your quiz for you to score a 5. Okay, so what do you need to do for today for Thursday? You need to read Energy from the Sun all the way to Respiration on Grad Point, and you also need to take Quiz Energy from the Sun and Quiz Respiration on Grad Point. So how will we get to that? Well, we're going to go on Grad Point. We're going to click Unit 1. It's going to take you to the screen. Today we're clicking on number 3. So not introduction to cells, not cellular materials. We are all the way on number 3, cells, processes, and energy. Okay, this screen's going to pop up, and all of this is our work for today, Thursday, July 9th. So it's still another teeny tiny folder. So we're going to do the whole thing in the folder today. Okay, and just to let you know, you should have all of these quizzes done by now. Remember, 2 quizzes per day. We just finished up Wednesday, so it's day 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So if these are not done, you are already behind. So please, please, please stay on track. It will help you from feeling stressed out. Again, this was on Monday, this was on Tuesday, and this was the work due on Wednesday. Okay, so that is it for the information about the class. Now we are going to start on the grad point summary for the 2 chapters that we need to take quizzes on today. Okay, so we're going to start with the first chapter in folder 3, which is Energy from the Sun summary. You and I need to eat other plants and animals to get energy. So when we eat, we get energy. Animals are the same way. They are also heterotrophs like humans. A heterotroph is an organism or living thing. It's the same organism and living thing means the same things. So a heterotroph is an organism that eats other organisms. So if you and I are hungry, we have to either eat a plant or an animal. Like for example, if we have a hot dog, the hot dog bun is made out of plant, wheat, and the hot dog is made out of meat, usually pork or beef, so cow or pig. Again, if you're taking notes, you don't need to write everything on the slide. All you need to write is heterotroph because it's in red. And then after heterotroph, I would say organism that eats other organisms. Heterotroph is a vocabulary word. The underlined words are the definition. But plants, unlike animals, don't need to eat other organisms or plants don't need to eat other living things. Instead, they can make their own food from the sunlight. They are not heterotrophs, they are autotrophs. So an autotroph is an organism or living thing that can make its own food from the sun. The process of making their own food from the sun is called photosynthesis. So if you go through photosynthesis, you are an autotroph. Photosynthesis is the process of making their own food from the sun. Photosynthesis is like a recipe. So, like if you want to make a meal and you look up a recipe online, you need ingredients or starting materials to make a recipe or meal. Let's go back to our hot dog example. What do you need to make a hot dog? Well, you need a hot dog bun. You need a hot dog. You need a grill or boiling water to cook your hot dog. Maybe you need ketchup and mustard. Those would be your ingredients to make a hot dog. So, photosynthesis is also going to use ingredients. The starting materials, or sometimes we'll call them the raw materials, needed for photosynthesis are water and carbon. The carbon needed for photosynthesis comes from carbon dioxide in the air. So take a deep breath in and out. You are breathing in and out carbon dioxide. There's always a little bit of carbon dioxide in the air. And when we breathe out, we as humans breathe out carbon dioxide. So how does carbon dioxide get into the plant? Well, carbon dioxide enters a plant through a hole in the leaf. This hole is called a stomata. So if I was to look at a leaf underneath a microscope, I would see these, they almost look like little mouse, and those are called stomatas. They're just holes that let carbon dioxide in. So there's a special way to write the steps of photosynthesis, and it looks more like a math equation than a science equation. So here is the steps for writing photosynthesis, and it might look a little different because there's no words, you just see like letters and numbers. So we call these letters and numbers chemical formulas, and we use chemical formulas to shorten the words. For example, carbon dioxide can be shortened to CO2. So if someone says CO2, you know they're talking about carbon dioxide. The chemical formula for sugar that photosynthesis produces or makes is C6H12O6. So instead of saying I love sugar, you could say I love C6H12O6. That is the sugar that photosynthesis produces. Photosynthesis has many steps. The first step is for the plant to collect sunlight in the chloroplast. So that's the first step. And it's going to capture the sunlight by using pigments inside the chloroplast. Chloroplast is a type of organelle that's found only in plant cells. And actually the pigments inside the chloroplast gives plants their green color. So most plants on earth are green, and that's because plants are autotrophs. Plants make their own food in the chloroplast, and inside the chloroplast there are pigments, and pigments give plants that green color. The second step of photosynthesis creates a sugar, which remember we learned yesterday, another word for sugar is a carbohydrate that the plant can use to feed itself. Okay, so second step makes carbohydrate. It also makes oxygen, which is really important because animals breathe in oxygen to live. Okay, please stop, and you should pause the video because we are done with the first chapter, Energy from the Sun, and right now you should be taking the quiz, Energy from the Sun. If you are feeling confused, rewind the video and watch it again. Okay, we are now moving on to our second chapter called Respiration, and here is the summary for Respiration on Grad Point. Eating other organisms or living things, or making food from the sun. Remember, animals eat other organisms, plants eat sunlight, they make their own food from the sun. But that's not enough because all living things need to break down their food to get energy from it, even plants. So even though plants can make their own sugar, they have to break down that sugar to get energy. And energy is going to fuel the body to grow, to make more cells, to move. So, all living things get energy from their food by breaking down sugars to release energy. This process is known as respiration. And here is a chemical formula for respiration. We start with the sugar, sometimes called glucose. Remember, the sugar from photosynthesis is C6H12O6. We use oxygen and we make carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And that's really important because we can't get energy from food unless we go through respiration. So, respiration is the opposite of photosynthesis. So, what do I mean by that? Well, photosynthesis makes sugar, and respiration breaks down sugar to make energy. So, all plants and animals have to go through cellular respiration or respiration, but only plants go through photosynthesis. So, because respiration is the opposite of photosynthesis, because photosynthesis makes sugar and respiration breaks down the sugar to make energy, the raw materials of respiration are sugars, or the starting materials or the ingredients of respiration are sugar. So, you need sugar and oxygen to start respiration, or you need sugar and oxygen as your ingredients to make respiration happen. But sometimes respiration can happen without oxygen. So there are two types of respiration that happens on Earth. There's going to be respiration with oxygen and respiration without oxygen. When animals go through respiration without oxygen, it is called lactic acid fermentation. This makes lactic acid, which burn muscles when working out. You probably have had this happen to you. You've been working out really hard, and all of a sudden, your muscles in your legs or arms start to burn really bad, and you feel like you have to stop. Well, that's because your body has run out of oxygen and is now going through respiration without oxygen or lactic acid fermentation. And as a result, you start to make lactic acid, which is really going to burn your muscles. So the next time you're feeling the burn when you're working out, you can say, oh, I'm going through respiration without oxygen. I'm going through lactic acid fermentation. And I hurt because my body's making lactic acid. Now, some organisms like yeast, when they go through respiration without oxygen, they don't make lactic acid. They make something different. They go through fermentation, and fermentation makes alcohol. So yeasts are these little organisms that you use when you bake, and people also use it to make beer and wine. And when you cut off oxygen from yeast, they will still go through respiration. They will still break down sugar to make energy, but when they do that without oxygen, they'll also start making alcohol. All right, please stop and pause the video because you need to take the quiz respiration. And if you're done with the quiz energy from the sun and also quiz respiration and you've passed and you don't need me to move you forward, congratulations, you are done for the day and I'll see you back here tomorrow.